Okay, we're back, and this time we are taping it just to make sure everything works correctly because you can never trust technology.
Internet is very weak around here because there are like thousands of people there. I don't know. I think it must have exceeded 10,000. I don't know how to estimate.
When I got here around 1 p.m., there were a few hundred people, and it just keep growing steadily. But by the time it was 6 p.m., 7 p.m., I think the numbers are in the thousands. I'm not sure if it's 10,000. It might get to 10,000 later on, but several thousands.
Yes, because the whole junction was occupied.
Yes, definitely, and more people are still coming in.
Yeah.
The train stop at Chitlom, and people are still walking this way. And as you can see, we are sitting in the middle of the street, and people are still walking into the protest site. So the school is out, work is out, people are coming in, and Ratchprasong, of course, is a convenient location for people to come to.
And just now, Central Chitlom, they announced their closure at 7 p.m.
Right.
And because I went there to buy new shoes, I hurt my feet. And then I've heard the staff saying that they will come to join the protest.
Right.
Because the department store closed earlier today. And I guess it might be because of the police asking them for cooperation, because the McDonald's also closed their gate, but they sell their hamburger outside of the shop. And I asked the staff why did they do that, and they say it's because the police asked them for cooperation to shut.
Well, and when the police ask you for cooperation, you comply, unless you are fighting for democracy. Because the police earlier today, well, not the police, it comes straight from the Prime Minister's office itself. The emergency decrees measures have been increased. Actually, they have a name for it, Declaration of the Serious Situation Emergency Decree, or something like that. I tweeted it earlier today. There's a word serious in it. And serious. There's the word serious in it. So let's just recap what happened this morning. 4 a.m. The police moved into the protest site in front of Government House and dispersed the protesters. You weren't there. I wasn't there, but you know people who were there.
Yes, and actually I'm not sure. I think they announced this state of serious emergency just right before the disperse, right?
Right.
Yes, and they use quite a number of officers, several teams around. I watched it live. Actually, I was still awake because I think a lot of people had a sleepless night last night. They were concerned.
Right.
It happened.
And when you saw it live, were there any violence? I remember seeing some videos. People were pushing each other. Some police officers were breaking through the barricade early on. Did that happen?
I did not see that happen. Actually, I skipped between a few lives, and some reporters, they quite wisely follow the police from behind. And before the police asked them to stop because it's their secret operation.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did not see that part of the crackdown.
But in any case, Anon Nampa ended up announcing from the stage for everyone to disperse peacefully, because I think even if you are against this protest, one of the things you have to commend there for is their concern for safety.
Yes.
Whenever the police come in, and if it looks like they're going to come in to disperse, the protest leaders usually tell the people to stand down and go home, so everything ended peacefully for the protesters, but not quite peacefully for Anon Nampa and Rung Panasaya and about 20 other protest leaders. They were all arrested and they were detained at regional border precinct 1 in Pathum Thani province.
Yeah.
But according to reports, Anon and Kun Prasit were helicoptered to Chiang Mai. Is that confirmed? Do you have any insight on this?
It is confirmed, and at first I was very surprised. Why is he transported to Chiang Mai? Later I've learned that he has another case from Chiang Mai court, and I think they issued the warrant today, so that's why he's transported. Basically, these leaders get the lawsuit every time in every location they went out to give the speech.
So basically, that's the strategy that a lot of experts, shall we say, have been talking about over these past months. These protest leaders have been charged with a dozen crimes each. It's like collecting the charges, and the government or the police can use the charge whenever they want and be strategic about it. So for example, the 3-day protest, planned protest at Government House was going to be a huge one. There were a lot of controversy yesterday over the royal motorcade, some confrontation, so on and so forth. So it was opportune time for the police to say, hey, Arnold, remember that charge way back when in Chiang Mai? We're going to get you now and we're going to fly you out immediately. And everyone else also fly them out or detain them immediately, and therefore cutting the head of the snake off, hoping the tail will have nowhere to go. But here we are.
The result is opposite. Yes, you're right. I think that the strategy was like if they can keep all the leaders in jail, maybe all the followers will disappear. But today has proven them wrong.
But that's one key leader here today, Panupong Chatnok. Why wasn't he arrested? How did he escape? Do we have any insight on that?
Okay, if I really can read the mind of the police, they will try to catch the stronger one first, and they leave the more junior one around,
Right.
and see how it goes maybe.
Okay, so how it went was this morning, Anon posted on Facebook after they dispersed the crowd at Government House for there to be a protest here on Ratchprasong district, 4 p.m. However, he couldn't join. Obviously, he was arrested. But then the people gathered here anyway. The hashtag 15 October Ratchprasong
ตุลาไปราชประสงค์
15
ตุลา
15
ไปราชประสงค์ and I'm not sure if they have spelled like ราษฎรประสงค์ ราษฎรประสงค์ is like the wish of the people, but
Right.
ราชประสงค์ mean the wish of the king. So we play with the name a few times already, right? From
like
สนามหลวง to สนามราช you mean from the royal field to the people's field, and from อะไรนะ ราชดำเนิน is like the walk path of the king become
The
ราษ
royal
ฎร
path
ดำเนิน royal
become
path
the
become
people's
the
path.
people's path, and today the royal wish become the people's wish.
Okay.
Also, it means a lot of names of the streets and places in Thailand is full of royals.
Right.
Yeah.
And the scene earlier today was quite crazy. I got here with my boss Chon, and we were doing Facebook Live when the protests were just a few hundreds people, and then Panupong Chatnok came, and then he was trying to organize for the people to occupy. That's what happened when you are filming in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
They were organizing for the people to occupy the middle of the intersection. So there were a lot of pushing and shoving around. The police formed a wall. The protesters formed a wall. And trapped in the middle are the journalists, including me and Chon. Right? It's like the war of the Roman legion versus the Persian legion, and we were caught in the middle. And then the protesters decided to push the police back from the intersection. So they were pushing and the police were not giving ground. So we were sandwiched in the middle.
Were you afraid?
I was not afraid. It was well, to be boyish about it, it was a little bit fun. I mean, it was hectic, it was stupid, but it was like, I was more worried about people falling down, because if someone has fell down, you will be trampled, obviously. So there was a lot of pushing, but finally the police gave way and the protesters took over Ratchprasong intersection.
I think both sides by now they have quite good experience of how to handle this kind of situation, and then they know that okay, we have to push a bit and then give in.
It's almost like the police know, right? They have to put on a show a little bit, otherwise the boss won't be happy. So, hey boss, we tried, but you know, what are we gonna do? They're just kids, they're just students. So eventually they took over.
Why do you think that this many people today, at this level, is actually the level we've never seen in the past 6 years?
Not in the past 6 years, obviously, when we
For
talk about
Ratchprasong
Ratchprasong, yes. Obviously, we talk about the Gopopasong. They had tens of thousands of people here with the red shirts in 2010. There were tens of thousands of people here. But this one is very impromptu. It just happened. And a lot of people came. If I were to analyze it, obviously, the first reason would be it's convenient to come. But the second and more important reason is that I believe people are feeling and seeing the injustice slapping them in the face with the arrest of the protest leaders this morning and with their treatment, detaining them out in Pathum Thani, flying them to Chiang Mai. Of course, most people don't know it's about the charge from Chiang Mai.
Yeah.
And everything else is like a slap in the face, and a lot of people are angry about this. And early on again, when we were at the protest, what the people were saying, the emotions and the feelings and the speakers that were on the stage, it is full of anger.
It's more passionate
It's
now.
passionate. It's very
Even
passionate.
I myself feel it within me. I think for me personally, the one that drove me most here is the announcement of this serious emergency situation, because I know about how emergency decree works.
Right.
There are two steps of what you can announce. The lower one was the one they used with the COVID situation. That is called the state of emergency decree, and it will give a set of authority and the power that the authority can use. There's a list for that. But this is the upper stage from that, the state of serious emergency. It gives authority a longer list of what they can do, and that is a lot of abuse of human rights. For example, the media can be shut down easily. They can send the soldiers or police to search in your house without a warrant, for example. So this kind of law is not usual, and actually it's created about over 20 years ago. At the time we have unrest in the south, and it is created to deal with that level of situation, not even like a protest like that.
I was watching the news early on, and one channel, they actually announced that they have to go off air, and I think Voice TV, they had to go off air.
Today?
But you can watch them on YouTube and Facebook. I think I was watching
That already happened?
I think I was watching Voice TV Wake Up or something. There are only two channels I watch, The Nation and Voice TV. Watch two of them and you get balance in life. Balance in life. So, at least that's...
So I think not many people are aware of how serious this law is.
Right.
It's very close to martial law already. And I think it's even against the constitution. For example, the prohibition of the assembly of more than 5 people is now in place.
Yes, so we all here are committing a crime, basically.
Yeah, according to
this
Yeah.
serious
I
emergency
almost
decree.
call him Hunta again, Prayut.
Well, once a junta, always a junta.
Indeed, I think he's just used to that level of power he used to have. And the reason that there are this many people here despite this law
Right.
in place, I think because people can already differentiate two things. What is legal and what is legitimate.
Right.
What is lawful and what is legitimacy. They can differentiate.
And even when the government cite the law, cite that something is lawful, but there's such a thing as unethical law. Am I correct? Law that are created to harass and persecute the people.
That is unlegitimate law. Illegitimate law. Illegitimate.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what is lawful is one thing, but the legitimacy is higher.
And this is an important argument because something General Prayut or someone on a comment asked for me to stop saying General Prayut. I can say General Prayut. Well, once a general, always a general. But anyway, the Prime Minister.
We don't take the word general as something respectful anymore.
Exactly.
It's just part of his name.
Exactly. When you actually say general in Thailand, it's no longer a respectful thing. Any general.
Indeed.
So there you go. General
It could
Prayut.
even be an insult.
He keeps saying that he has the law in his hand, that the law is such and such, and that the people are breaking the law. He's saying the law. But the thing is the law democratic? Is the law based on human rights, civil liberty, or is the law created to serve the power of one person or a group of individuals?
Yeah, the law is not used to protect, but it's used to abuse by tyranny in any context throughout the past history. and I think that's why there is that phrase, right? By Thomas Jefferson, I believe. When okay, sorry, I forgot.
That's okay. That's okay. I skipped that class in my American history. Thomas Jefferson. The pen is mightier than the sword. Was that him? Anyway. No,
It's
no,
like
that was it.
sometimes the uprising is the duty.
Oh, okay. I remember now. Something like sometime breaking the law or an uprising is the duty of the citizen, right? To prevent a government from being tyrannical. It's something like that. It's not exactly like that, obviously.
We had a sleepless night, so our brain is like half function.
But in any case,
Yes.
what we are seeing right now is the unjust usage of the law, abuse of power, at least in our perspective. Well, never mind, not in our perspective, in the democratic perspective, in the human rights perspective.
Yes, you can argue easily that what is done today is against the Constitution. And
Even this constitution that we don't like very much.
Constitution, yes, because the Constitution has guaranteed the right to political assembly.
Right.
Yeah, it guaranteed the right for the public assembly like this, as well as what the Universal Declaration of Human Rights guarantee is
Right.
the same thing. So the prohibition of assembly of more than 5 people will always be unconstitutional.
And again, this is a debate not just in Thailand but everywhere else. Which law is more sacred, the constitution or the emergency decree? Or in Thailand's case, the serious emergency decree.
Yeah, I
Where do we
think
go?
One will always have to wait with the public interest.
Okay.
Yes, and we all know, even though sometimes we subconsciously know that the protest is the mechanism of the people to fight with tyranny. Oh, there's something going on. You want
What?
to show something?
What's
to us?
happening?
I think someone is coming. I was sent that video just now from the other side, from Central World
It's on
side.
this road.
From
Okay.
Central World side.
Let's continue with this. Let's continue with this. Cameraman, concentrate please. Let's continue. Okay, so that's the question of the law. Now let's talk about the protest itself. Where is this thing going? How does this end? Can it actually achieve anything?
I think the short-term aim is quite clear now. That is said repeatedly in the crowd. That is Prayut get out.
Right.
So I think it's quite achievable depending on the number of people come out each time. And today, interestingly, we see a lot of school students. School students, not just university students, because it's quite convenient to come here. And I think, as I said earlier, everyone is very passionate about what they are doing for.
Now, let me offer a scenario, a theory at least. Could it possibly be, I know it's uncomfortable, it's 2 nights in a row we're sitting on concrete.
I'm used to it now.
Could it be possible that the protesters are falling into a trap? Meaning that when it got started, I remember the first time when I saw Anon Nampa got on the stage and talk about reforms. Even when he was talking about the reform of the monarchy institution, I think that won a lot of people over because he was very eloquent, very articulate, very logical in his explanation. It swayed a lot of people over. And even for those people who are not comfortable with the monarchy question, they can see the reasons behind it. However, one thing led to another. And as we understand, there's a lot of persecution, harassment, agitation, so on and so forth by the government against the protesters. And it frustrated the protesters. They become more aggressive. They become more passionate. They curse more. They so on and so forth. And also, to be honest, earlier today when I was listening to the speech, I mean, their hearts are in the right place. I sympathize with their cause, but when they speak, it's not about rhymes and reason, but rather a venting out of anger. Venting out of anger, which is with. That's okay. Kun Bo is famous. People just walk by and say hi to her. Which which I understand the feelings, but for those casual people, the silent majority out there, when they hear it, they cringe, right? And for this thing to be successful, as you have said before, we need a large public support. We need the casual, the silent majority, but they are stepping away more and more because they are afraid of what's happening, especially the more talk about the monarchy, especially the dispersal, especially seeing protesters attempting to block the royal motorcade, however temporarily it was. It makes people nervous.
I admit that I said it before that we should be a bit of compromising.
Right.
We should be polite. We should make people feel like it's more approachable and friendly. But I think today anger is necessary.
Okay.
And that's a saying among the movement sometimes before, and it's repeated. They say that we are not angry enough. We are not angry enough, and that's why this is not ended yet. So I think over the time of the development of the situation, people now have the reasons and the legitimacy to be angry. I think it's now justifiable.
Well, I guess definitely what happened to the protesters at Government House this morning affected you quite a bit.
I think actually the announcement of this state of serious emergency.
That serious emergency thing.
Because I think to me, the rule of law is very important.
Right.
And when that is destroyed, it means the whole mess is ahead of us. So people may focus on immediate situation. For example, leaders are arrested. But what make me more angry is the fact that they announced this state in order to give them absolute power.
Right.
So it's almost like we are after the coup again.
So we're back to 2014.
Yes, and with this, a lot is ahead of us, not only the arrest of the leaders. I think people may not see it today. They may be angry for different reasons, but there will be a lot of things to follow.
Okay. Now, obviously, we are both teachers, and I'm also a journalist. You are an activist.
So
We're
we
not.
talk too much.
No. I mean, we're not fortune tellers. We can't
Yeah.
tell what's gonna happen in the future. We can't predict if this protest is gonna lead to any kind of reform immediately, or even if it's gonna lead to the removal of ระบอบประยุทธ์. But let me ask
I
you.
have a name for ระบอบประยุทธ์
Okay, what's the name?
Mafia regime.
Mafia regime.
Yeah, because mafia always have their own rule,
Right.
write their own rule. Mafia always keep you in fear. Yeah, and mafia has that network of power.
So Don Prayut and conciliary Visanu Krungam
Yeah, they are like mafia.
and the capo Pravit. Never mind. But that's a good point. In any case, we don't know whether or not reform will happen anytime soon. But one thing I have noticed is this. Regardless of what might happen, the past 2 or 3 months, what I have seen is the impact this pro-democracy protests have on Thailand as a nation and as a people. What they have achieved is to open things up for discussion, is impacting the mindset of the people, allow us the courage and the conviction to come out and talk about change, talk about reform, to stand up and speak out, even on issues that most of us are uncomfortable with, that is the monarchy. Which is, all this is an important step forward, I think, for the Thai society. Things are opening up more and more, and reform, it may not come immediately, but it will come eventually. What do you think?
Yes, I think you have rightly put it, and yeah, that sounds very hopeful as well. Yeah, it's just the matter of how much you want it.
It's a matter of how much you want it. So we're going to close the show. We're going to upload it immediately. We're going to go back to the protest, and we'll see you on episode 5 whenever that might happen.
Yes.
No promise, no prediction. We're not fortune tellers. Thank you very much.